Purvis, we're gonna record the podcast now. We've been talking for a minute, and I feel
Fair enough.
like we can do the podcast. Hello, everybody. It is Thanksgiving week.
Yeah. More
Purvis.
importantly, it's World Cup week. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's World Cup week.
It's finally here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably watch USA versus England on Friday, or at least follow it. But that's about it.
I mean, to be fair, soccer isn't big in America, and nor do I have expectations for it to expand.
Yeah,
So even if you watch that game, I think you're doing your
I
due
mean,
diligence. It's more than the average
you
American, I would say.
you say that, but at the same time, like soccer has exploded in popularity in America in the last few years.
That is 100% true. I
Yeah,
don't take that away.
between this World Cup and last World Cup, like soccer's
Well, we
much.
exactly because we didn't even make it last year or in
Yeah,
last World Cup.
yeah, yeah. But
But
I
in
think you could
comparison,
definitely.
it's just minor.
I definitely think you could see. We could get to a point where soccer is just popular on its own in America, the same way the World Cup is watched around the world, regardless of if their home team is in it. I'm sure
Mhm.
every team takes a hit, and when their home team isn't in it, but whatever. It's soccer. Who cares?
See, exactly.
Yeah. It's the wrong football. Like,
It's the real football. No, I'm just playing.
oh god.
But yeah, I mean that's pretty much dominating all media right now. Well, not all media, but
Yeah,
it's what everyone's talking
yeah.
about.
Well, like the tide is out.
Right.
To me, like a lot of shit has been dropping recently. Like me, I have several new games I've been so
Sure.
deep into.
We've been playing God of War like crazy.
God of War like crazy, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet like crazy. I Black Panther Wakanda Forever took so much of my mental space when that came out. The newest entry in my favorite series of novels came out, so it's like
Oh, what's that?
it's called The Lost Metal.
Okay.
It's a series called Mistborn. It's a really cool take on fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah, I would if you have like Audible credits or something, highly recommend the first book. It's Ocean's 11 meets Lord of the Rings.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, basically it's about there's two concepts in it. It's the typical fantasy story where there's like a great hero will rise up to defeat like the great evil.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that doesn't happen. And this takes place in a world where the great evil has been ruling for 1,000 years. And in an effort to overthrow him, a group of thieves do a heist on him, and it's very sick.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
so if you have like an Audible book credit, highly recommend the first book, Mistborn.
okay.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll be done with school soon, so I
yeah,
need something to keep my brain sharp. That
yeah,
sounds like a good idea.
yeah, yeah. Now, if you like Ready Player One, I think you'll like it because it's very approachable, but it's more in the fantasy realm than sci-fi.
Okay, but
Yeah,
like you said, if it's anything relative to Ready Player One, which is probably one of my favorite books,
yeah.
I will definitely check it.
I would say it's infinitely superior, and immediately. I would just say that the thing about Ready Player One is that books have like an approachability that I
Hmm.
feel like games too, but like movies, it's not like harder to watch any movie. You might not get it, but books can be difficult to get into.
Hmm.
Ugh. So
Okay.
we have a light news week, but we got a lot to talk about with our main topic because we're revisiting The Boys.
Yeah, the our everyone's favorite boy band,
Everyone's favorite boy band.
but
You know,
now it no longer exists.
yeah. Needless to say, we'll see. Needless to say,
Knowing them, you're correct. We'll see. Because
needless to say, they've
I don't
dominated.
want to.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't want to get too deep into the topic yet, but I don't like the way it went out, and I would like to see more. Just the idea of it being more, at least. Um, so should we just jump into the very slight news we have?
yeah, yeah. So let's talk about the news.
Okay. Just a forewarning, we are recording this on Wednesday because it is Thanksgiving week.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, should we drop this on
um,
Thursday or Friday? You think?
ooh, good call. Or good question, I should say. I feel like we're gonna be with families tomorrow.
Yeah,
So
we'll do it Friday as normal.
yeah, we'll just push out as normal. But anyway, because of Thanksgiving and because of the World Cup, there's honestly nothing. I've searched here and there throughout the internet as I have multiple resources. The only things I could find, there is a rumor that honestly, never mind, could have a chopped and screwed version. I don't even know how to approach this,
I mean,
if I'm being honest.
I like chopped and screwed music, and it kind of seems obvious, uh, because it has a chopped and screwed song on it.
Very true.
Yeah,
The second to last one? Can't recall the name.
the one that's like a half finished song that he slowed down.
This is correct. It is a half finished liability, which actually I do like that song compared to some of the others.
Yeah, no,
But anyway,
it's a half finished song played in slow motion, and it's still one of the better songs on the album. So let that say what it will.
I was gonna say that speaks a lot of volume into the situation.
Yeah.
But anywho, I wouldn't mind a chop and screw. The last chop and screw I could think of is the Don Toliver one
Yeah, that's the last one.
that came out. Yeah.
I know the Brent Fayez had a chopped and screwed one, but I'm pretty sure the Don Toliver one's more.
Oh yeah, Brett Fires did have one. But anyway, we'll check it out. This is
Yeah.
something that you actually found. This just came or dropped today, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
news?
Yeah, so this dropped on Wednesday, and we'll see. Like, by the time you hear this, we'll know if it's true or not. Danny Brown posted that his latest project could be dropping as soon as tonight. And it sounds like it's an album. I don't know if it is for sure, but it sounds like one. Purvis, what do you think about this? Are you a big Danny Brown fan?
I don't have him in my normal rotation of music, but I love Danny Brown. His music, everything I've heard so far has been really good. Considering what he's put out in the past and his style of music and where he fits within the genre, I think this is an appropriate approach to the situation. I don't see a big rollout. I don't see a whole single and music videos and all this other stuff. Him randomly being like, "Oh, I'm dropping something," actually sounds like more more realistic than anything else, in my opinion. I know he's been rumored to have stuff with JPEG Mafia. Um, if it's here, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, no, I'm ready for it too. He also isn't in my typical kind of rotation, but he is someone who I pay attention to because I'm a big fan of his. If you haven't,
he's really stepped it up. He has a podcast now, right?
yeah, no, and stepped it up being so subjective because like he's been dropping dope shit for a long time. Like Atrocity Exhibition is probably the best album from 2016.
I do agree. I guess I should say or clarify what I mean in terms of stepping it up.
Yeah,
terms
he's
of just
doing more for sure.
Right. He's just like putting out more content and actually in the public view. I feel like he will be considered an underground artist, so a lot of people just don't even know who he is. So some of his recent actions have actually put him on the map, if in a way. I'm looking it up right now. What is it called? Like quarantine or something?
I think so. Quarantina, I think.
Quarantina. Hey, I'm here for it. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on from that, I didn't find any singles, if I'm being honest. Normally, there's something coming out. There's been a couple of music videos, but it's all to singles that's already been out recently.
Yeah.
Literally, I just opened up Instagram before we started. Brockhampton has a video that they just put out.
Yeah, they put it out like
songs.
15 minutes before we started.
Literally.
Yeah.
So there's a ton of music videos. So I would say just if you do enjoy like that
do your
kind
own
of
research,
form of media,
scumbag. Like
exactly. If you enjoy that form of media, there's a ton of music videos that's been kind of in. I feel like it's. I don't want to say it's on the rise because I could just be ignorant speaking, but like I feel like I don't remember a lot of music videos because of COVID.
yeah, there was
And then-
definitely a lull. There was definitely
Exactly.
a lull. Yeah.
And so now we're actually getting it back, and it's a big form of the industry that a lot of people kind of sleep on.
Yeah.
But moving on to actual news that's been coming out, there is some more exciting things I would say. Kid Cudi was in Paris over the last week, and he did a
Unreleased
I don't know.
song.
Right, a snippet of an unreleased song. He confirmed he's working on a next project, no date. Confirmed that there will be a Solo Dolo Part 4, which is extremely hype because everyone loves that series of songs.
It's an
And
incredible series
confirmed,
of songs.
yeah, it's amazing. And then he confirmed that it's featuring Playboi Carti, which is like, I mean, to me, this is like the trifecta.
Yeah, I know.
Like new album, new
I know.
song, Playboi Carti. like this is perfect.
Yeah, I
Um,
know. I just wanted to let you get it all out, buddy.
So I'm extremely excited for this. I know there's no date in the future, so I'm not going to be stupid about it. I'm not about to like overhype it up, but it is exciting to
I
at
bet.
least get confirmation that wasn't his last album.
Yeah, and we all know it wasn't. Like,
Right. We basically called that.
yeah, I was never bamboozled for a second. Like,
Why would he even say it?
who
Why
cares?
would you even do that?
Like, no one believes you. Like, and it's good. You
Oh,
should still make music because you make good music, Kid Cudi. Like, now you are. Who knows? But like, but you went. He's one. You're one of the few that went from good to not good to good again. Like,
well, we knew deep down that we wasn't gonna lose him. But I guess another thing, and Brandon, you know I don't really know award shows like this. Is the AMAs, American Music Awards, just as bad as the Grammys?
I
Is
don't
it
remember.
better,
I've never even
worse?
heard of
Does
them.
it not matter? Okay, fair enough.
When I hear
I
AMA, I think
know
Ask Me Anything.
what's up.
When I hear AMA, I think of the subreddit Ask Me Anything.
Oh, okay, that makes
I don't
sense.
even think of American Music Awards. Is that real? I don't care. Fuck you. Fuck you, American Music Awards. I'll kill
That's
you.
so unnecessary. um, all I know is that there's a big like thing going on about the R&B artist who won. I think Taylor Swift also won the artist thing. I just hope that it's because I'm looking for things. You know this. We all confirmed. We discussed this multiple times on the podcast that we don't like the Grammys. I'm looking for something as a replacement. So it doesn't look like this actually has gained any popularity, at least in our circle. So maybe this isn't it.
Yeah, maybe
I
isn't
was
it?
just being hopeful.
Yeah.
um, but moving on from that, huge news. Dreamville is confirmed to be the executive producer for Creed 3.
Yeah. I
This is huge.
yeah. Huge. Absolutely fantastic. Uh they really seem to be throwing all this everything at this Creed 3 movie.
No, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
here for it.
Look, listen, it's a Dreamville project attached to a movie I'm going to be seeing on Thursday night. Like there
It is
is,
hard not to be hyped about
yeah,
this.
it's like it's unfair at this point. Like I feel like I don't have control over my emotions in this second because obviously I'm going to be a fan of a Dreamville Creed 3 soundtrack. And
I
talk
mean,
about like an
it's
organic
huge.
fit too.
I mean, it just makes sense, honestly. I think they did a phenomenal job with Creed 2. Mike Will made it, I think, is the executive producer of that one. They had many big features in it. Great songs come out of that. Shea Butter Baby was
Right.
in that soundtrack. Amen with Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
The Mantra with Kendrick. It's a lot of good songs coming out of that one. I think this is a good
A good lane.
continuation of
Yeah.
what they've been doing.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I agree. I agree.
And then last but not least, we have Absol is supposedly, it sounds like an album, dropping Herbert December 16th.
It's gonna be big.
Is December TDE's month? We have SZA, we have Absol. All we need is Schoolboy, in my opinion. And I'm there.
Yeah. No, it's been a big TDE year, you know. I don't think that their label of the year, spoiler
No.
spoiler, but you know, it's been big time.
Yeah, I was going to say it's been a very long time, both for the actual label and the
Yeah.
actual artist to put out something. Um, I can't even think. Yeah, Kendrick was the last one, but like Kendrick is on his own. He's basically PG Lane at this one.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure any project he does on the next will be PG Lang.
Right, fully
Which,
there.
which, look, I'm saying right now they're going to be a problem because they got
Yeah.
3 heavy hitters right now, and they're going to start putting out music as a label. You got Kendrick, which, granted, he's probably going to be the last person to do a full debut there.
Mm-hmm.
They got Baby Keem. I bet
Of course.
we're less than a year and a half with him. I wonder when we're going to get the first Doechii album.
Yep. We got
That
an EP.
Yeah, we got an EP this year that was really, really quite good, but I want to see what she unlocks when she steps up to the album. So I think that could really fuck shit up.
I agree. She's rated to have a very large versatility in terms of talent. She can sing, she can dance, she can rap, you name it.
Yeah,
So I think putting her in that space of like, okay, let's put something official under your name, she's
yeah,
gonna knock it out the park. But yeah, that's literally everything.
yeah, yeah,
It was a very short week for news, but we have a lot to discuss for Brockhampton. Over the weekend, Brockhampton has released 2 albums. They put out the first one called The Family, which is essentially a solo album by
yeah,
Kevin Abstract.
yeah,
And then the next day, they put out TM.
yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what that stands for.
I don't either.
Okay, fair enough. I think it's just TM. I
Yeah,
haven't seen anything in terms of what they've been posting.
no, neither have I.
They also did a live show.
Yeah,
Brandon, you saw the live show. What's going on? How do you feel?
yeah. Well, it was a lot. It was a lot. And look, for a fan, I don't know. On one end, like, because so many artistic arcs are taken from us nowadays. The almost the extravaganza, like the event of like, okay, Brockhampton's done. Wink, wink. Like we're gonna get these 2 albums, which I liked both of them. Spoiler alert up top.
Okay.
Do I think they're their best work? No, not at all. But I enjoyed both of them, and the concert I think is interesting because I've heard 2 very different things from 2 different group of people. And
Okay.
me personally, I loved it because
Okay.
I watched it through the Twitch stream on my couch. I did not camp out for 40 hours in front of the Fonda.
Yeah, no, there's no shot.
And people were saying that the crowd there was not great. It was not a good vibe.
Really?
Yeah, that was something I was seeing on the subreddit. I've been on Reddit all weekend.
I guess I should ask then, in terms of not a good vibe, what created this negative vibe? Were people fighting? Was it just disappointment?
No, it was because here's the thing. Like I think like as someone who was just watching the show, I thought it was
Mhm.
great. I thought they put on a great show.
Right, you just see the
So
stage.
it was just like the vibe. It was apparently like apparently people weren't as into the music as you would expect. The 500 most intense Brockhampton fans to be.
Right.
There was some predatory behavior because a lot of young girls like Brockhampton.
Oh boy,
Yeah,
yeah,
that was something I saw a lot of.
that's not good.
Yeah, never a good vibe. So yeah, just like from what I hear, like from the people that were actually in it, it was kind of like so. But I thought performance wise, set list wise, it was a little predictable, but it was fantastic because they just played all the big songs.
That was going to be my next question, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm coming in completely like dark on this one. So was it older songs? Was it newer songs? You're saying that it was mostly just big songs, one last shebang, or was it actually like, here's a new album?
They opened up with a song from The Family,
Okay.
and then it was quite literally going through their releases chronologically. So then they did like 4 songs off Saturation 1, they did like 4 songs off Saturation 2, 4 songs off Saturation 3, a couple of the singles, some songs from Iridescence, songs from Ginger, songs from Roadrunner, and then they didn't do any more from the new songs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like the performance aspect, they are on stage and they're performing this music, top tier. Like really, every bit as good as the shows we saw in person.
Okay, so they were really giving it their
They were
all. It doesn't
really,
seem like no
really
one's
giving
slacking
it their.
out.
Oh yeah, like if you want to see like performance craft, this is a great show to watch.
Okay, that's honestly that's really good to hear because we got to come into this conversation. I want to talk about each album, but I want to talk about the group as a whole in like a conversation around becoming famous, as in like the pros to it, the cons to it, and like the effects of. He kind of mentions it in one of the songs in the family. Nothing's closed anymore. Like when you reach that level of popularity and you're doing things as a creative, you almost turn everything into an art, and it kind of takes away from the
Yeah,
actual feeling of like doing things with friends. I was talking about the Brockhampton group recently with some of my friends when they first came out with the family because I personally I like the family. Um, and like the beauty of it, I feel like everybody goes to this stage when you're a kid. You're in middle school or elementary school or something like that, and you're playing with friends. Like you just create your own thing. Some of my friends saying like they made a remix version of Jackass, or like they did a film of like a Harry Potter scene, or like when you grow up, you just have these conversations. When you're young, the world is yours. Your eyes are open, and I feel like they did one of the very rare things that everybody kind of dreams about. Like you're sitting around a table with some friends, and you're just like, let's make a band,
yeah,
and that's literally what they did.
yeah.
They
They
went to a
posted
Kanye
on.
West forum.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy because it's something we could do right now.
Yeah,
Uh,
it honestly is, and even the product of our podcast is just us like saying like, "Hey, we do this all the time. Like,
yeah,
why not make it official?"
yeah. No,
So
totally.
it's like it's super interesting looking at the group and the conversation I want to have because like for us, it's just you and me. Like I've known you for years now. I consider you one of my closest friends. So like for us, it's genuine and easy. We
Yeah,
can have a conversation. We can flex our schedules. We can do whatever we want to do. We can drop this tomorrow. We can take it off tomorrow. We can do whatever.
yeah. We could do whatever.
So
Yeah.
it's interesting. Do you feel like, and this is one of the first questions I wanted to ask, do you feel like their size actually started to hinder them?
Oh,
I feel
one
like it
hundred
was a
percent.
positive thing at first.
100%. I mean, yeah. I mean, I complete. Yeah, I could not have said it better. To be honest, like, yeah, a lot of people in a room is going to be great if you just want to saturate the scene with your music.
Right.
Which, the first three albums, that was explicitly what they were doing.
Which was considered some of their best albums.
Yeah. Oh, I would still say the Saturation Trilogy is their best run of albums.
Right.
I
They're
mean,
coming in.
I think Ginger is probably better than Saturation 1 and 3. But as a run of albums, I don't think those three are as good.
I fully agree with that.
Yeah, I
Because
think
I
they
feel
are
like
extremely good, but not as good.
they were still at the stage of being hungry. I
Yeah,
feel like coming into a situation, you have that drive, you have the hunger to be someone real, someone successful, someone real. Like that's where you get that pure, genuine product. And I understand the group went through a lot of different challenges and phases. They lost Mir,
yeah.
other issues, things like that. Um, I think their egos got too big, but we never really got confirmation. And as a fan, it's kind of something.
Confirmation of what?
So, like, when I say confirmation, or I guess I should say closure instead, a big issue that I have with TM myself, and I understand it's not our right to know this, and it's not our role to, like, we don't get a full breakdown. We're not going to get a documentary explaining, like, oh, these people are fighting about this. But I feel like it wasn't a good send off, if that makes sense. Uh,
I am empathetic to that point.
okay.
Yeah, like I definitely see where you're coming from, especially because like Yeah, I mean, even I, who liked TM, I think I liked TM more than the family.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I think I did. Not much more, and I also think there's some great irony to it, especially because like the family is more or less a solo record.
Hmm.
Uh, and that sounds more traditional Brockhampton,
It honestly does.
you know. And then I like that they gave us like, okay, here's something that's gonna feel like a throwback, like a celebration, and here's something that TM to me feels like, yeah, like this is where the band would go after Roadrunner, and I think it's clear that there's no more gas in the tank. Like this breakup is the best for them.
Hmm.
But I don't think it's bad by any stretch.
I have a question then.
Yeah.
Like, considering what you just said, for me, and I know you kind of say you like TM more, so maybe this question won't
A
really
little bit
qualify
more.
for
I
you.
do like the family quite a lot. Like,
I feel like TM personally is one of their worst projects.
that's fine. Like,
Um, and the reason I was saying that, I honestly do feel like it may not benefit everyone, but do you find it true that a solo career for some of these individuals actually would put them better than Brockhampton as a collective?
I mean, I don't think there's anyone that we can say yes. I think there are definitely people who I think it's possible for sure. It all depends on what they want to do and like how they want to live in this new.
Hmm.
You know, is if you know Bareface wanted to go the singer songwriter route, like yeah, like I think he has a clean line at the top of the charts.
Right.
Uh, but you know the TM, and maybe this is a good example of something they shouldn't do. But Matt Champion is the guy who executive produced that, which is the first time he
Hmm.
did that. And to me, I thought you could notice the change that this had a
It was very clear.
yeah, and I guess that's why I'm a little bit more willing to hear it go on this because it does sound very different than their other albums.
Brandon, this is one of the first albums that I genuinely didn't like some of the songs.
Really?
And like, believe it or not, I actually I feel like some of the songs had good concepts or good ideas based around them.
Yeah.
But there are some ones that like there were either additional added parts that just like I feel like didn't fit or didn't fit the
Yeah,
style.
that I agree with. There's a few songs that are a little long in the tooth.
So I guess leading into the next thing, because the reason I asked that previous question, obviously Kevin Abstract already has his own career. Bareface, like you said, has his kind of own career. Um, Maybe Joba, maybe Matt Champion, but maybe Myron. But even still, I feel like the leaders of the group is essentially was who was really working on the family.
Yeah,
I believe Bareface was a very large producer on this. Kevin Abstract was
on
the
the family,
main,
and he
right,
wasn't
on
on
the
TM.
family.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
So I feel like, and this could be all assumption, there are certain people that literally would do better by themselves without Brockhampton and felt like they were kind of being dragged along. And
I don't. Yeah, I am definitely agree with the notion that some of this feels like dragged along is a really good way to put it. Like this is
mhm,
definitely they're trying to fulfill their obligation to the RCA.
mhm,
Now, why don't we go through TM like track by track? Not all the tracks, but like just like the ones
mhm.
we think should, and then we'll get into the family a
Yeah,
little bit.
that works for me. That
Okay,
works for me.
so were there any tracks on TM that you really liked?
Okay. I actually did. Honestly, I do. The best song, in my opinion, is "Keep It Southern."
I agree. I agree. Keep It Southern is fantastic.
Everyone that I've talked to has said "Keep It Southern" has been the best one because I feel like that actually sounds like old Brockhampton. I was having a conversation more recently with one of my friends, and I hate to say things like this because it comes off kind of ignorant, but like their style that is more successful is the rowdy, rambunctious,
Yeah,
crazy young. people. Like they're all energetic young males that bring in the passion. And where I feel like they fell off in their career was kind of the more down, slower songs. I'll put it that way. And when you look at past Saturation, a lot of their songs is more based on recovery, which is natural. They went through a lot of terrible tragedies. But I feel like I personally like a more upbeat Brockhampton compared to a slower, less hip hop traditional Brockhampton. And I feel like TM falls more on that side with pretty much every other song besides Keep It Southern and New Shoes.
I also really like New Shoes.
Mm-hmm.
See, I just can't. On one hand, like I'm empathetic because like there is definitely that divide, right? I think you're identifying a very clear trend. But to me, I think one of the reasons why I loved Brockhampton so much is I thought they did an excellent job threading that and doing those
Mm-hmm.
slower songs. You know, I think Ginger's a straight up classic. I think it's like one of the best hip hop records of the 10 years it came out in, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a classic, it's a second classic, which I think says even more about it. So I kind of liked that slower direction, but I agree that I don't think the problem was that artistic or creative direction. I just think that the group was unsustainable and like it just booted off and like because the arc of quality, especially post Ginger, like with Roadrunner, because I think a lot of people don't like Roadrunner as much.
That's
Uh,
true.
you know, like that. I'm kind of feeling. I agree with. You
Because I
know,
mean, it's a. Sorry, go ahead.
so it's crazy to me that people don't love the song "Man on the Moon." I fucking adore that song. It's been stuck in my head all weekend.
I'm iffy on Man on the Moon because there are parts of the song that I do enjoy,
Yeah,
but there's
that
also parts
hook.
of it. The hook is very good. It
Uh,
honestly is. Um, and so I guess what I'm about to say does apply to Man on the Moon, but it also applies to like different things within some of the other songs on this album. I feel like it's broken down between sections in each song, and there are parts of songs that I'm like, man, this sounds really good. And then there's other parts where I'm like, why is this included? And like in Man on the Moon, it's very poppy. So like
yeah,
it was hard for me to actually get along with it or like catch the beat because it wasn't a style that I was ready or prepared to listen to. Like Crucify Me, the beginning of that song is fantastic in my opinion. And then they bring in, and I don't know if it's supposed to be like a political, not political, a poetic way of like putting emotions into music. Because like a lot of times when you hear like this combination of wild sounds that do not, they're not organized on purpose. Like that's a style of music. Um, the ending of Crucify Me has like the drums going crazy. They bring in this super loud piano. It's meant to be like this chaotic chaos at the end of the song. And like I feel like that's a good symbolism. It's like artistic in a way of where the group is standing, but like man was it hard to get through.
you know, to me it was easy to get through, but I feel where you're coming from. And I think on those last four, Crucify Me, Duct Tape, Always Something, and Goodbye,
Mm,
I think those are the most tedious songs on the album.
yes.
You know,
It's a tough ending.
I think I think that run of New Shoes, Keep It Southern, and Man on the Moon is an incredible run of songs, and then it starts to pooter off. I definitely
Mhm.
agree with that.
Yeah, if I was to pick the same thing, we are totally agreeing that. Yeah, the new shoes keep us on the mountain of the moon. I'll take those. I honestly would, but like it's tough thinking that like a group of this criteria and what they've accomplished and what they can bring into the table. This is a tough ending, in my opinion.
Yeah,
It's a tough ending.
yeah, and
It,
it is, it is. I feel that because you want it to be their best.
go out with a bang.
Yeah, you want it
It's
to be their
what I
best.
want to remember.
Yeah, yeah. You know, what I wanted was I remember the first when they first started saying like, "Oh, these are coming."
hmm
Uh, the rumored title I kept seeing was Maturation,
Uh,
and I was thinking like, okay, I would love it if it's like 14 songs, 7 sound like Saturation, 7 sound like Iridescence and Ginger, and just like goodbye.
mm,
I almost think of Man on the Moon 3 as like an album I would have wanted to compare this to.
okay.
Uh, but yeah, no, it kind of sucks that it ends with a whisper and not a bang.
So,
But on the other hand, on the other end, with just the way the world is right now, I just
mhm.
appreciate that we even got an ending.
You're right because they don't owe us one.
Like first off, like a whole lot of people be dying in this world. Like
It's true.
we talk about way too often, and like the members of Brockhampton are not above that, and even without that aspect of it, just the nature of this kind of group, they could have broken up behind the scenes years ago. We just never gotten any more music from them. So I'm just grateful that we got an ending in and of itself.
hmm
And because we've only really talked about TM, we still have to get to the family.
hmm
Uh, but to me, like I got one album that I thought was very good, one album I thought was slightly better, like, and then a pretty good, a satisfactory, live performance. Yeah, would I have loved like a singular, like, goated certified classic Brockhampton album? Sure, yeah, absolutely. But I'm not in the camp. I'm not in the camp that I think this is like a awful ending.
Well, I have a question because I don't think it's an awful ending either.
Yeah.
You said you like TM slightly better than the family.
Yes.
Before we move on into the family, then what stood out or what made you enjoy it more?
Just kind of the diversity of the sounds. You
Okay.
know, like as good of a sound as the family has, it has that very. It sounds like a Kevin Abstract solo project, kind of like that very
Mm,
poppy, upbeat, like soul sample kind of vibe to it. And I like that TM went someplace completely different. Like, don't get me wrong, I like that the family did what it did, and I love that we got both.
right.
But, that's just how I'm feeling on that.
I think for the exact same reasons, I think I'm on the other end.
Yeah.
I think I do like the family a little bit more because of
So
consistency.
so tell me about your experience with the family then, because I think you like it a little bit more than I do.
So yeah, I'll be honest with the family. At least that first listening that I did on this album, it opens up with like a gospel sample. It goes into multiple different songs that are very consistent within the sound, which is obviously easier to do on this album because it's just Kevin.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's the producers. You also
yeah,
have
the producers as well, of
you also
course.
have Jabari, Bareface, Ramil.
hmm
Those are, and they're all forces within the band.
Very true, but I think they all have very, at least on this project,
But they're the
they,
producers.
yeah, I know. So with the producers, even themselves, like it's a very consistent sound. I think they do a much better job at projecting a story of an ending in the family than I got out of TM.
I get that.
Um,
Yeah.
understanding this is not the full story. That's the one flaw to the family is like we. I feel like when I listen to the family, I actually get a decent closure. I felt like I understood some of the issue, or I think the family does a good job in terms of like actually telling a story and like a theme of this is the end. I think it does a good job at portraying the feeling of this is the end than actually telling it. Like obviously, and I said this earlier, there's gonna be a couple questions that like I just we're not gonna get. Obviously, I want to know like what started the fighting, like how did it keep going, how did it escalate, blah blah blah, whatever it is. And like
You should
we
re-listen
may
to Ginger.
yeah, that might be my solution, honestly. Um,
Yeah, because like
but
that's my one thing is that I know you're just not as familiar with those
the new ones.
those newer albums. I thought you were pretty into Iridescence when it came out. We were pretty close friends when that came out.
Yeah, yeah, I
Uh,
was.
so I, my one thing is just like I think that's all well and good, but they did that already. Like,
I think that's fair, but I feel like Ginger wasn't. It's a similar concept and a similar message, but it's not on the same. Like, I feel like the family is literally meant to be like, okay, no, we're literally like ending, like it's over, we're
yeah,
done with, and it's much more exaggerated, and the consequences of saying those things are much more advanced than what they had to deal with, I guess, like in Ginger. Um, I One thing that I genuinely did like in terms of like the structure of the family, on top of it having, I think, a better way of expressing the concept of it ending, I feel like this album, and I was talking about this last weekend. It was with someone I literally just met. It was a friend of a friend. I had never met him before. I told him, or my friend told him we had a podcast. And we ended up talking about hip hop for like 30 minutes straight. I feel like a lot of things that go into an album that structurally makes it good are things like interludes, like skits, way to bring in beat
it's a
switches. It's
creative.
just
It's a creative
exactly,
way to make a flow in the album.
exactly, and that's something that Freddie Gibbs was talking about in an interview really recently. He was saying a lot of times some of the newer artists, the albums just don't really feel like albums or sound like albums because they don't know how to break it up. Like in reality, they're saying different things in different tracks, and it's supposed to tell a story, but like they don't know how to break it up. And the most recent one I could think of is Lil Baby. No one was really rocking with Lil Baby's song,
Yeah,
and like I watched the video. Somebody played 10 seconds of each song, and it sounded like they played one song. Like they literally were swiping through the songs. So like thinking about that is crazy. That like there's no way to break up an album. I feel like the family has those little nuances within it.
that's
They're
fair.
stretching all their skills to bring it in to actually make a project. And that's
Okay.
why personally I like the family significantly more. We
Yeah.
got the All That sample, which is one of the best ones. Like
Do you believe Fantano said it's one of the worst ones like of the year?
he did.
Yeah.
He did. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I feel like and maybe he affected how I was thinking about it. I think it's one of the best samples of the year. I still think that.
Yeah, no,
I do
I
think
think
the
it's
rapping
fantastic.
besides it is not the best, but I think it's a really good song because of that sample.
I like the song a lot.
Well,
Uh
tell me how you feel then coming into it before we actually get to the track.
no, I really really liked it. My only thing is that it was another album that to me had a bad case of blurring together.
Hmm.
And I love Kevin Abstract. I'm a fan of his solo work. I'm a fan of this album. And the idea that this final Brockhampton album was going to be very Kevin focused has been a possibility that everyone's been reckoning with for a while.
Hmm.
Uh so that's all that. But
I mean, remember, I kind of had mentioned this when they were at, I believe it was Coachella like a
yeah, in
year or so
April.
ago.
Yeah, in April.
And remember, they showed the video, and I was like,
Yeah.
Brandon, it sounded like it was him talking up front, and he got everyone together to be like, this is something I made. It didn't feel like it was something they made. And like now that moving forward to November 2022, we're actually seeing that come into fruition. Like this is probably in the video what he gave them. He
Yeah.
probably said, I made the family. And then somehow at some point, maybe before, after, or all together, they're making TM. Um, so this is just his story. It's weird that it is underneath the Brockhampton label, but like I'm not against that
I'm
idea.
not against it because I think sonically it feels very Brockhampton.
Exactly.
You know, like it does feel like a callback to the saturation era. It's like 70% saturation, 30% iridescence era.
Hmm.
You know. So I, I think it feels like Brockhampton, so I'm not too mad at it. And the other thing is that, like, it's not just Kevin. It's like 6 of the members of Brockhampton.
Right. Bless you.
But yeah, to me it was less that it was bad and more like not a whole lot of it stood out to me. I'll be honest,
Hmm.
I think I need to give it a few more listens to altogether, which I intend to. Because just like the earworm songs have just been stuck in my head all weekend.
You know, it. I've listened to the family more than TM, so I'll say that first. But I feel like now that I've gone through the family a few times, I don't know if you get kind of the same feeling or the same vibe, but the family reminds me a lot of a Kanye West album.
Does it?
In turn, it
Yeah.
personally,
Yeah,
it
it has a lot of the
feels like a
samples.
Kanye West album. The samples that he chose were focused around the same soul gospel music.
Yeah, he definitely did.
The yeah, the later parts of the album is focused on his toxicity and like how he's toxic to people. Um, talking about how he's a dickhead.
Yeah.
The line was like, "I'm the richest nigga that you ever seen go broke," and
Yeah.
just like stuff like that. And then literally right after that, it sounds like a sample from the what album is that? Jesus Christ, that's how you know I haven't been listening to Kanye
Oh,
West.
from
That is
Dropout.
crazy. No, the like actual intense album.
Jesus.
Yes, wow. We have not been listening to Kanye for a minute. That
No, I
feels
am
so
not.
weird that I
No.
couldn't remember a Kanye
No.
West album. But yes, Jesus.
You
Where like
know.
the screaming, the energy, that's what it reminded me of.
What's crazy is I always thought that Brockhampton should end with a feature from Kanye. Just like
Really?
just because like they met on a
It
Kanye
would
West
make
fans
sense.
forum, like it just
Yeah.
made the most sense.
Honestly.
Uh,
Brandon, I have a
but
question.
like
Just really
at
quick.
this point, I had not because I'm just so over Kanye because of his fucking behavior, dude.
Exactly.
Did you see what happened with him today?
Today? No, I didn't see anything
There
today.
is this guy. His name is Nick Fuentes, right? He is
Okay.
I'll quite literally like a far right Nazi organizer,
Oh
and he's
Lord.
from Berwyn, right? So he organizes in Chicago, like
Okay.
far right hate mobs, and him and Kanye were seen going to Mar-a-Lago together.
That's
Yeah,
weird.
he's hanging out with
That's
actual Nazis, like
that's very weird. Okay. Okay.
yeah. So it's just
Didn't need to know
it's
that.
so gross, and like it's crazy that this is the first time I'm even thinking that because to me, I used to always have the strong opinion of like, no, that's how Brockhampton should go out. But now, with everything that's happened, more
Mm,
for Kanye than Brockhampton, to be honest.
yeah.
Uh, it just, I didn't even think about it.
Yeah. That just like took me out of it. It's so sad. God, that's so stupid. Um, let's go through the track list.
Yeah, for the family.
Yeah.
First off, we just gotta give a recognition. All that best sample of the year.
Best sample of the year.
Yeah.
I'm fully on the same boat. I haven't told you. I found another sample. I'm gonna show you. It's one of my recommended songs.
Okay.
It's up there too.
Fuck,
But I
I
think
have not
all
even
that is.
thought about recommended songs. God damn. Okay. Uh,
Yeah. Start preparing.
yeah.
Um,
Goddamn.
which ones stood out? Which ones do you like? Which ones didn't you like?
I think my favorite song on the album is actually Gold Teeth.
Okay.
Oh, I love the RZA like
Yep.
snippets throughout, like because I've always called Brockhampton gay Wu Tang. I felt like as much as they like to say that they're a boy band, they very clearly were more in the tradition of Wu Tang than anything else,
Hmm.
and so just seeing that come first full circle felt very good as a fan. Uh But Gold Teeth gotta be one of my favorite songs from that album. You know, the one I didn't like was Big Pussy.
Okay, it's. Can you believe that's the most streamed one? I'm kind of the same boat in terms of like not knowing or being able to identify each song right now. Um, some trends that I can like recognize right off the bat at the beginning was mostly just like music bangers. I feel like this was that traditional Brockhampton. It's almost like when you go, and I just had a funeral more recently, so like it's actually on the top of my head. It's more relatable and like I can reference it. For Black cultures, going to like a funeral, a lot of times you really don't call it a funeral. It's more like a passing or a transition into the next life because religion is so like based within the culture. Like a lot of funerals you go to, like people are obviously praying and things like that, but it's a lot of reference. Like it's basically a service. So I feel like the beginning of the album really is that celebration. One thing that kind of stood in my head, he was saying like it's not a funeral for the person dying; it's a funeral for us. It's a gathering for all of us to celebrate this life together and come and mourn. And like I feel like the beginning of the album was for us. It was our funeral. It's us seeing the group like break apart, things like that. Whereas the second half is more towards like, okay, now you're actually getting the emotions that they were feeling, or that Kevin could project himself. That was their funeral. So like the beginning of the album, that was for us. The second half was really like Kevin saying, like, all right, we've been through all this stuff and now we're here. And that's why like off the rip, I think I texted you, I was like, man, this is messing up my top 10 because like with having that mentality coming into it, I was like, this is powerful. And then I got TM and I was like, okay, now I don't know what's going on. So that's how I kind of feel about it.
In one end, what I was getting at is getting a whole bunch of stuff all at once, kind of overwhelmingly.
It was a lot to take it.
It's a lot, and I, I don't. Yeah, it's almost like too hard to wrap my head around it.
I mean, for me personally, just because I like the family more, and that's because of that like funeral concept that I just was talking about. I feel like this is an actual true ending. Unfortunately, it's just portrayed through like a handful of people. Um, it's just with TM personally, it sucks coming into it thinking that TM wasn't as good because this is my closer. I will walk away thinking the family is the Brockhampton's last album, and the message behind the person who created the group is responsible for telling all the stories, having a funeral for us, where like it's for the fans, having a funeral for the group. I think all that is my closer,
Yeah,
and TM just kind of disrupts that thought process just naturally because it's meant to be the day after,
yeah,
and they hyped it up.
yeah. No, I definitely am empathetic to that point.
Hmm. Should we give the grading for
Yeah,
each
let's
one?
give a grading. Let's give a grading. Uh,
Okay.
let's start with the family. What are you giving the family?
Um, right off the bat, I thought it was at least like a B plus.
Yeah,
After listening it to a couple times, I'm gonna knock it back down to a B. I think the hype coming into it kind of lifted me through most of that album,
yeah,
and having that mindset of the themes that I noticed helped me digest like, oh, this is an appropriate closer.
yeah.
So I'll keep it at a B.
Okay. So I'm kind of like one half step below you. So
Okay.
I was thinking B, and now I'm maybe thinking like B minus. But I also have to take in consideration that I want to revisit now with with what you said in mind. So it could be more. But as of right now, I think I'm gonna land on B minus. You know, I think it's good. I think it's overall quality. But it just didn't pop for me.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, and
Yeah.
Honestly, if we're talking about art grading scale, if I get a B in class, that is a good grade.
Yeah.
It's just not like you didn't hit the marks.
Yeah, you might not be hyped about it, but you don't have any worries either. Like,
Exactly.
yeah,
It is 100% like this is something that I can be okay
yeah.
with.
It could, you know, like,
Once you get a C, then you start worrying.
yeah, when you start getting C's, me, like, I would see a C, I'd be like, all right, well, at least my grades are not going down. Like,
Exactly.
all right. What about TM for you? What are you giving TM?
TM for me. Speaking on what I just said about C's, um, honestly, for me, it's like if I'm judging the album by itself, I'll call it a C. Personally, I think it is a
That's fine.
significant drop down in quality. Um, but there is a second punch that comes like that's a right hook, and then the left hook comes in with like for me, the family was a real closer, and then having to listen to TM after being satisfied with the family and being that much disappointed and actually hearing the rest of the group, it knocks it down just a little bit more.
I definitely understand that.
So how do you feel? I know you actually enjoyed TM.
Yeah, so yeah, I did enjoy TM, but it's not like a massive difference. I think right now where maybe I'm a little hotter on it, I'd give it a B plus. I could definitely see that maybe dropping to a B depending on the day, but for right now I'm gonna land on B plus.
Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah. Yeah, that is
Cool.
a lot of B's for Brockhampton.
I'm gonna say this.
Which sucks because like I think their first 5 albums are all A's. Like
Yep, I
yeah,
fully agree with that.
to me, I give Saturation A, Saturation 2 A plus.
Look, all of Saturation are A's.
Yeah, Saturation 3 A, Iridescence A minus, Ginger A plus. Like
Right, exactly. Like I said,
you know, so
this
they had
may
an
not
incredible
even
run.
be right. This is a great run, a great career. The groups in the or the actual group as a whole, great experience. I don't think any of them regret it. I think the members individually, great people. They're all going to be successful in whatever they go into.
Yeah, yeah,
But this may not be the end of it. Let's be honest.
yeah. I don't think it's the end of it. Uh, this is merely the end of the first saga of Brockhampton, I believe. Like,
Right, exactly.
you know, well, like, and just for full disclosure, like, we're not talking out our ass. Like, Kevin said he was going to delete the Twitter account on Sunday. It's still
And
tweeting.
it's still there.
It's still
And
tweeting.
it's still
Like,
there.
he's been tweeting from it all day. Like, also,
Right.
Kevin,
You didn't fool anyone.
Kevin, get off Twitter a little bit, man. Like,
Yeah, just a little bit.
I don't think you look like an ass, but I know when someone's on it too much, and boy, like,
you're getting there. I completely agree.
Speaking
with
of Twitter, let me have mine back, Elon. Like,
of all people, Brandon, you had to get banned on Twitter. It's just a bad idea.
only for 2 more days.
Do you regret it at all?
No, I told Elon Musk he
Yeah,
should
I
get
know.
hit by a bus, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah. Anyway, did you end up finding your recommendations?
Yeah, I have recommendations. Let's run it.
All right, bet.
You give me
I'll
the
start
first
off
one.
then, real quick. I kind of mentioned it earlier. Brandon, have you gone back and listened to the extended version of Baby Keem's album?
Not
Remember he
yet.
came out with
Not
the deluxe?
yet. No, it's been so much, dude. There's been so much.
It's been a lot. It really has. And I don't blame you at all.
I'm still listening to
Brandon?
Freddie Gibbs. Like,
Dude, I almost forgot that came out. About to say that has an extended version now. Did you listen to that one?
no, I have not. What the fuck? I had no idea.
Yeah, there's an extended version with like Schoolboy Q and a couple other people. All right, so you know what you're doing tonight. But anyway, I did listen to the extended version for Baby Keem. One of the songs is Highway 95. Brandon, this song has debatably, it might be even better than all that. I'm so serious. It might be even better than all that. I'm not going to tell you the sample. I'll let you go listen to the song. But as soon as you hear it, you're going to be like, damn, this is good.
Okay.
All right. What's your first one?
All right, my first one, I'm going with an absolute classic from Mr. Danny Brown.
Okay.
Smoking and Drinking off of
But
XX. It just sounds like a night of too much drugs in a basement. Like
so any given like
it just
day.
sounds. Hey, sir, I live on an elevated first floor. I'm
Yeah,
7 feet off
okay.
the ground right now.
Whatever you need to say, so.
Hey, be nice to me.
But honestly, I respect that. That's a good option. That's a
Yeah,
good
that's a good one. It's a classic in my mind.
one. I'm gonna actually do a curveball on my next one.
Oh no.
It's actually it's not a song. I found this today, and I was gonna send it to you. I was like, nah, I'm saving it for the podcast. I'm going to recommend a YouTube video instead of an actual song. I found a YouTube video by.
Jesus.
I
Is
found a
this at least
YouTube
a
video.
mute? Is this at least a song, or is this like a video essay?
No, it's not a video essay. It is titled "The Best 5 to 7 Songs," or "The Best 5 to 7 Seconds of Every Kendrick Lamar Song." Brandon, when you listen to like the catchiest parts of all of Kendrick's song, oh my god, this album or this video was
Send
amazing
this to
in
me
my opinion.
immediately. Send it.
I'm gonna send this to you right now,
Put it in the Discord
bro.
chat. Like I am not getting up from my
Bro,
computer until I.
when I found this, I was like, "Oh my god!" I was gonna send it to you immediately. I was like, "I gotta wait. I gotta bring it up later."
Yeah.
It is so hard. It is so good. But that's my second recommended thing, and I'll post the or I'll attach the video to like the Instagram stuff.
Oh. All right. So my next one, I'm going for one of my favorite albums. Turned 9 or is turning 9. I'm not sure. Uh, just bracing for its 10-year anniversary because I'm not ready for this album to turn 10. I'm recommending Shadows from Because the Internet. Childish Gambino.
Wow, that is a good choice.
Yeah. It always
That is
reminds.
9 years old.
Yeah.
That hurts.
Yeah. It's this
Okay.
year. This time of year is always the time for the heaviest vibes.
You know what? Yeah, that's gonna be on my rotation.
Yeah.
I'm definitely adding that immediately.
Yeah.
Okay, but then I will close it out. The last song
I
I
got one
have.
more.
Yeah. Well, one more for me. Close out my last one. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. In terms of my last one, absolute classic. Everyone knows this song. Swag or Surf Swag by Lil Wayne.
Swag
I've
surf.
off
Oh
of,
my god.
bro, off of New Ceilings
Oh
or
my
No
god.
Ceilings?
No ceilings.
Jesus
God
Christ.
damn. Guess who's gonna
That
be listening to No Ceilings and playing Call of Duty like it's 2011? Oh my god.
like
Right
you're about
above
to
it with Drake.
so good. All of it is amazing.
I am officially in. I am. Oh my god! I gotta let Rachel know we are officially in 2007 to 2012 era Lil Wayne mode.
And what a time to be alive.
Yeah.
Like he was rapping like his life depended on every single song.
I am shifting
Every
into the
single
Carter
bar.
3 mode. Like we should do that. We're like every year around Thanksgiving, we're like, yeah, every year we just listen to the Carter 3 through I Am Not a Human Being on
Honestly,
and
I'm down to
represent
do
the
it.
the greatest reign in hip hop history. Like,
He really is one of the best to ever do it. This man is a genius.
yeah. All right,
Yeah, that's my list.
my last one. I am going to be recommending Kyoto by Young Lean.
Okay.
This is Young Lean is a rapper from somewhere in the Nordic countries. I think it's Sweden. Very vaporwavy, very much part of that online synthy kind of movement. Almost arguably not even in the culture, I'd say, until he started collaborating with, he's a producer on Astroworld, he's a producer on Blonde. He's behind the scenes on pretty much all of our favorite albums.
Yep.
So I think in some ways he's like your favorite artist's favorite artist. So one of his best
Yeah.
songs. Also a heavy vibe. So
All right, bet. I'm here for that.
yeah. All right, Purvis.
We made it.
You made it. All right, like and subscribe the video. Short one this week. And only some mild technical difficulties.
You won't even notice.
You won't even notice. Unless you do. And if this makes sense to you, then I'm sorry. But if this doesn't make sense to you, I am an audio editing god and should be addressed as so.
Fair enough. I will give you that. As long as like my rant was in there about the like funeral, I think we're good.
You all came through. Like
okay.
all right. Well, that is the unpaid nobodies for the week.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for guns and drugs. Bye.